So, picture this. Me, standing in my cluttered garage at 2 in the morning, zip ties dangling from one hand, 200 feet of aircraft cable coiled like a viper in the other. Heart pounding, so loud I'm surprised the neighbors didn't wake up. I was planning something that would either land me in the annals of neighborhood legend or, more likely, get me booked to county lockup. And honestly, at that point, I wasn't sure which outcome I wanted more. You ever get pushed so far, so relentlessly, that you stop caring about right or wrong, and you just start getting creative? That's exactly where Karen Westfield, our benevolent dictator of an HOA president, had driven me. What she didn't know, what nobody really knew, was that I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. 6 years spent designing theme park rides, making things flip, spin, and drop in ways that make grown adults scream. So, when I finally snapped, I snapped with style. But that's not really the question, is it? The question is, what would you have done if you knew what she was doing to me, my family, and half the block, all while hiding behind a clipboard and that weaponized smile? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I want to hear from you. Drop your city down in the comments. Seriously, do you have a Karen? Because it feels like they're multiplying these days. Let me rewind. This mess didn't start in my garage. 6 months earlier, I was still naive. We just moved into Meadowbrook Estates, a slice of suburban America with postage stamp lawns, cookie-cutter homes, and those lampposts that don't really light anything up. My wife, Sarah, loved the kitchen. Our daughter, Emma, had already made friends. I'd finally escaped my 2-hour commute. For 2 weeks, life was perfect. Then, on a Saturday morning, I met Karen. There I was, minding my own business, washing my truck, when a silver Lexus rolled up. Out stepped this woman, iPad in hand, sunglasses that probably cost more than my entire truck payment, khakis creased, so sharp you'd think she had stock and starch. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said, but the warmth in her voice could have frozen a lake in July. "I'm Karen Westfield, HOA president. I wanted to personally deliver your welcome packet and discuss a few violations I noticed." Violations? I'd been there 2 weeks. She tapped her iPad, running through my so-called transgressions. "Your truck's parked facing the street, not the garage. That's a violation. Garbage cans visible from the curb, violation. And your lawn was mowed diagonally. Our rules are horizontal or vertical, not creative." I stood there, suds dripping off my hands, floored. Who even knew there were rules about which way you mow your lawn? I tried to be diplomatic. Maybe we could be reasonable, but she cut me off with a wave that said, "I own this street. The rules exist for a reason, Mr. Harrison. 72 hours to comply, or you'll be fined." And that was just the beginning. Over the next month, Karen became my own personal surveillance drone. 2, sometimes 3 drive-bys a day, snapping photos of my house like she was compiling evidence for the FBI. My daughter's bike, visual clutter. The wreath on our door, unapproved decoration. Even my garden hose got flagged. Fines piled up, $50 a pop. When I tried to reason with the HOA board at their monthly meeting, Karen rolled out a PowerPoint, complete with photos of my property from every angle, like I was on trial for war crimes. The rest of the board? It just nodded along, terrified or checked out. My neighbor Tom cornered me afterward. "Don't fight her, man." I tried. "She'll make your life hell. Just comply." But I'm stubborn, and the more she pushed, the more I pushed back. I started keeping records, photos, emails, documenting every drive-by. In 1 week, she passed my house 14 times. I filed a harassment complaint. The result? Karen called an emergency meeting, accused me of harassing the board, slapped me with a $1,000 fine for conduct unbecoming. That's when things started to unravel. Sarah, my wife, began having panic attacks every time she saw a silver Lexus. Emma stopped playing out front. Karen had yelled at her for drawing with chalk in our own driveway. The fines kept coming, and before I knew it, we were $2,000 in the hole in just 3 months. We even started thinking about selling the house, but, plot twist, Karen had slapped a lien on our property for unpaid fines. We couldn't sell without paying her off, and the meter just kept running. I wasn't sleeping. I was snapping at my boss. My kid asked if we were bad people because the HOA lady said so. Something broke in me, not with rage, but with clarity. People like Karen don't want compliance. They want control. Submit once, and they'll just find something new. So I got smart. I read every bylaw, joined the neighborhood forum, talked to neighbors. Turns out I wasn't alone. Karen had been shaking down everyone. Fines for sparrows at a bird feeder, for too many cars at a birthday party, for a crying baby creating a disturbance. And the kicker? Karen had been president for 7 years, which seemed odd for a volunteer post that's supposed to rotate. I did some digging. The HOA's budget ballooned from $40,000 to nearly $200,000, mostly from fines. But the pool was falling apart, playground rusted, landscaping bare bones. Where was all that money going? I filed a formal records request, legally my right. Karen denied it. I sent a certified letter. That's when she showed up at my door, phone recording, slapping me with a restraining order threat for intimidation. She even tried to ban me from HOA meetings. That's when I hit rock bottom. Sarah wanted to give up. Emma thought we were criminals. But compliance wasn't an option. Karen wanted us gone. So I started planning. Not revenge, exactly, but information gathering. And then I learned Tom was about to lose his house. $15,000 in fines and fees, all legal, thanks to bylaws written by Karen's real estate attorney husband. That's when the light bulb went off. This was a scheme. Over 7 years, 12 families foreclosed, every property snatched up by a shell company, Westfield Property Holdings. Karen and her husband were churning through families, scooping up foreclosed houses for pennies, renting or flipping them for big profits. That's when my trap idea went from wild to righteous. I wasn't just trying to embarrass Karen. I wanted her to confess on camera for everyone to see. I built it, pulleys, counterweights, a pressure plate trigger, even waterproof cameras hidden in birdhouses. The plan: Karen would trigger the trap on her next 6 a.m. inspection walk, get hoisted up into an oak tree, humiliated, and, if all went well, caught on camera spilling her secrets. The day came. I hid in the woods, sweating bullets. She approached, stepped right on the trigger. Nothing. She kept walking. I ran to the tree, trigger cable cut, cameras gone. And there, zip-tied to the trunk, a note: I know what you're planning. Meet me at the community center tonight, alone, or this goes to the police. That note, her handwriting, made my blood run cold. My trap had been turned against me. That night, the entire neighborhood was summoned to an emergency meeting. Karen called me out, played the security footage, me in the woods installing the trap. She painted me as a psycho bent on murder. The room erupted, people shouting, calling for my arrest. But I wasn't going down without swinging. I pulled out my phone, projected every record, every shell company, every fraudulent foreclosure I'd found. Karen's face twisted from smug to panicked as neighbors started to murmur, and Tom stood up. She's forcing us out right now. More people spoke out. Karen tried to pivot. Even if he's right, he still tried to hurt me. She started dialing 911, saying she'd have me charged, have my house. Then, the doors burst open. In walked a guy in a suit, flashing a badge. Mrs. Westfield, Special Agent Morrison, FBI. You're coming with us for questioning. We have a warrant for the HOA's records. The room went dead silent. Turns out, someone else had tipped off the FBI, someone who had everything, every record. Sarah, my wife, had gathered the evidence I'd collected, cleaned it up, and sent it in. Her plan, not mine, is what brought Karen down. Karen and her husband were arrested. The news lit up with headlines. HOA president arrested in massive real estate scam. Neighbors flooded our phones. Some grateful, some just stunned. But the story didn't end neatly. The FBI wanted my testimony, and I faced possible charges for building the trap, even though I never actually used it. The DA would have to decide if creative problem-solving is a crime when you're fighting for your home. Meanwhile, Karen's daughter showed up at my door, tears streaming, handing me a USB drive full of evidence she'd collected over years, saying, "What you did gave me the courage to do the right thing." So here's what I learned. When good people get pushed too far by the bad ones, sometimes you build a trap. Sometimes you call the feds. But revenge, real revenge, isn't about making someone suffer. It's about making sure they face consequences. And sometimes the craziest, most desperate plan isn't what wins the day. It's the stubborn hope that justice still matters, even when the system is broken. We got our homes back, but not before we lost our peace, our money, nearly our sanity. Would I do it again? I honestly don't know. Maybe what matters is that, in the end, we fought back. Not just me, but my family, my neighbors, hell, even the law, once someone bothered to point it in the right direction. So now I gotta ask, where do you draw the line? When someone in power twists the rules, do you fight fire with fire, or do you stick to the high road and pray it works out? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me your story, your own battle with power gone wrong. I want to hear it. Maybe, together, we can figure out how to make justice mean something again.